What's up, everyone? I wanted to make a video today talking about supplements because for many years I've taken different supplements from whatever you can find in GNC to the bodybuilding forum back in the day and muscle and fitness magazines, like what recommendations and all these things. So I don't say this from a spot of don't take supplements ever, but I'm saying it from a spot of I've researched a lot of them, looked into the ingredients, and really am not against, but pretty bearish on supplement use just because there is such a misguided network out there where these supplement companies aren't doing it for the best of your health. They're doing it for the best of their marketing. Because let's be honest, like most businesses this day aren't doing it with what's interesting, what's in most interest for the customer. They're doing it for what's in most interest for their marketing scheme or plan. So supplement companies typically they go through a distributor, and that distributor provides them with like a source that they have for maybe it's their grass-fed whey protein, probably coming from New Zealand. And then you have maybe a fish oil that they source it from, uh, like a country that has a lot of fish, coastal country. Or perhaps, they're going to source whatever. They're just going to source from the supplement company that wants to sell. The supplement company is going to talk to a like distributor, middleman person or whatever that's going to literally take their supplement. Maybe they create a formulation, they put it into their supplement Tupperware, what have you, bottles and whatnot. And then that manufacturer typically sources from one outside company that's their source. So we saw this with Element last year. They came under LMNT, the pretty popular electrolyte beverage mix. They came under some heat and were in the media eye because in their packaging they said no, GMO products and none of these bad things, and it's all organic or whatever their claim was and whatever their claim is. All good things, right? Yeah, that's what you look for in a supplement. Like you want to trust the company, you don't want nonsense in there. You want what you want because you're trying to be healthy. Well, come to find out, there was up to 500 milligrams of maltodextrin in their product, not on the label because it was coated in their natural flavors. And the reason they put it on the natural flavors is because it's a carrier and prevents like clumping and some other things. But Element kind of claimed we don't know, or we didn't know that was the case, which could hold some truth because they went to their distributor had a source gave them their natural flavors, and maybe claim uh, innocently ignorant to the fact that they therefore did not know that there was maltodextrin in their products. Well, it was tested and proven, and they went under some sort of lawsuit or litigation or whatever. But besides the point. Point being is the industry is not a foolproof plan, and if you are relying on health for supplements, especially something like that, if you're trying to lose weight or if you are keto or pre-diabetic, that would be a huge red flag to have maltodextrin because that spikes your blood glucose higher than table sugar. On the glycemic index, it's just an index broken down of what foods spike your blood glucose, and table sugar, raw table sugar, is 65 on that scale. Maltodextrin is upwards of up to 135. That's insane. That's like skyrocketing blood glucose. So, point being, like, relying on these supplements and trusting them is important, and also educating ourselves into this world that is, full of marketing agenda, I guess. And so, you look at different supplements. There's another supplement that came up, and it was because it was, kind of one of these, we sell to you and hire you as a person, and then you sell and you're a rep and all the things that come with that. And they were trying to sell it to my wife. So I looked up the ingredients, and for me, this is me personally, like it's a no instantaneously when I see the first ingredient on there is fructose, and then a couple ingredients down you see maltodextrin on the other ingredients. So it tells you, all the or their essential packet has a daily essential multivitamins and then an antioxidant and all these things. Well, I read through the vitamins, essentially a multivitamin that you can get for I don't know, 20, $30. And then it has the claim to fame of this powerful antioxidant, and then magnesium. And everyone now, well, magnesium has become fairly popular in people because they're looking to reduce anxiety and help with their sleep, which magnesium can do because it helps with the process of gamma aminobutyric acid, which is your GABA receptors, which is your main inhibitory neurotransmitter in the brain. So it assists with this neurotransmitter, and studies show like 10 to 20% a better reduction of stress and like a calming, sleep inducing thing. So people now have tons of magnesium supplements. The issue then there lies, and what I found in this ingredient was they use magnesium oxide or carbonate, which are if you put them on a scale of different magnesiums, they would be on the lower end of that scale. Why? Because they're not very bioavailable, meaning as low as some research shows like 5% absorbable up to maybe 30. And that's not great when you're looking at a supplement that you're trying to get something out of. And the main thing that it does is just the reason why is because it would just sit in the stomach and intestines and osmotically draw water to there, essentially being a glorified laxative, making you poop or causing GI upset, which a lot of people see. So if you have a supplement that's claiming it's magnesium and is going to help you sleep and stuff, and it's magnesium oxide or magnesium carbonate, like these things are lesser magnesium and potentially not even doing anything because they're so unabsorbable to the bioavailable to the body, and also just making you poop. You see like magnesium oxide in some stool softeners. So what you want to look for is magnesium glycinate. It's attached to a glycine amino acid that helps the bioavailability, increases the likelihood of it absorbing up to potentially 80%, and then helping with those inhibitory GABA neurotransmitters to help you relax and fall asleep, and therefore bringing benefit. But those are, more expensive, so usually supplement companies, not usually, some supplement companies like to add this cheap version, the oxide, in. So that's something to be aware of. And the biggest indicator for me was maltodextrin. So that is going to spike your blood glucose. And maybe they could claim that it's such a minute amount that it's not going to be detrimental for a healthy person. But what's a healthy person? If you're pre-diabetic and you don't even know it, and you're dosing yourself every morning with one of these essentials and it's got freaking maltodextrin in it, like how much is that compounding over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, that you think you're doing something good for your body when you're spiking your glucose incredibly high? And what happens when you spike your glucose? Well, insulin needs to come in, and insulin is essentially the little doorman or key to cells, and it allows for glucose to enter into the cell. Once that cell becomes saturated with energy, let's say, then at some point, insulin receptors on that cell just become dormant to insulin. They're just like, kind of like, all right, dude, I've had enough. I can't take this anymore. And then insulin has really no effect in your body, and that leads to insulin resistance, aka diabetes. So these are all compounding effects. And if you are looking into supplements and you're interested in health or healing your body, like I wouldn't recommend maltodextrin at any level, whether it's minuscule according to the company or not. Another thing you see with supplements is they claim to be independently tested, third-party tested, all these things. There's a few companies out there that I go to for supplements, or if people really want one, make a recommendation. And it's not hard. Like the foundation of their business is built on the certification. So like there is no hiding, there's no difficulty finding. Like it's clear, it's evident that they are third party tested, NSF certified, like all these things at manufacturer level, at storage level, at distributor level. Like they are tested. They have certificates of uh, approval, like showing what was tested, how it was tested, what are the dosages, and they don't. It's not like literally their company is like their foundation is that, and then their supplements is kind of how I see it. Whereas some of these supplement companies are, well, they're owned by marketing companies. So what does that tell you right there? Bring a doctor on board and say it's doctor approved. Like, the doctor's just using DR to sell, not really to. I mean, either way, uh, if a marketing company is making supplements and they're not using high quality ingredients and making all these claims and selling you a glorified multivitamin for $80 a month, I mean, why wouldn't you go to a supplement company that has based their business off of certifications and using it in sports and being tested in athletes, which doesn't, like, if you're not an athlete, I still want a supplement that I know is tested by a third party, not the company. And it's not hard to find. If it's hard to find on the website or not on the website at all, then you can't you can't send me an email and claim that it is. That's fine, but you should base your company foundation should be based off that if you're truly selling something that's trying to help people, not sell people. So, I mean, there's other things you can look at like stearic acid. Stearic acid is a pretty popular filler that is in supplements, and it's cheap. It's kind of like a filler, and the issue with that is it actually deters absorption of nutrients in the stomach and also causes GI upset. So that's one to kind of be considerate of if you have that in your supplements. And some of these, I mean, you have to dig for a while to sometimes find a supplement that doesn't have a bunch of other stuff in it. So it's challenging, but there's companies out there that are doing it right and they're third party tested. And again, like I'm not an advocate really for supplements as like the number one thing. You should start with food and stuff first, but be aware of kind of the foundation of these products and just different things that go into that product. So uh, a good point to bring up too with the maltodextrin actually is an argument would be that they put maltodextrin in it because then that increases the high absorbability rate of the nutrients, like instantly getting into your bloodstream and such. And yeah, I guess, but also that would be for like an athlete or someone in doing some sort of heavy resistance training or endurance training or some sort of thing. Like the average me or you or somebody that's just drinking a or trying to get vitamins and minerals from a drink on their morning. Like, why would I want a huge glucose spike to instantly get that stuff into my system when I could just take a supplement that doesn't have that, like a multivitamin pill? So, on the topic of that too, like, do I think maltodextrin is the best usage in sports? No, not really, because if you read the book by Dr. James Dini Nicolantonio called Win, he specifically cites a study or uh, I guess, a trial they did with a soccer football, true football team. And at halftime, they gave one team a high popular sports drink and powder, and usually the sports drinks powders have glucose and maltodextrin in it for that super high blood sugar spike for energy. And then the other team got honey tea, and they found that the team that took the sports drink lost like 10 to 15% on performance, and that's they're sprinting slower, they're getting lethargic, and then kind of had like a drop off. And the team that did the honey tea ended up going to win, and they didn't have an increase in, or they didn't have a decrease in energy or output or anything like that, and they maintained energy a long time because honey has fructose and glucose, and it also has enzymes in it, specifically one called diastase, and that helps the absorption of glucose and fructose, which is what honey is essentially the sugar that the carbohydrate that it's made of is fructose and glucose. Uh, the enzyme diastase helps absorption and gut motility when it comes to those specific carbohydrates. So, what does that mean? It's going to give you a better absorption, less GI upset than some crazy maltodextrin sugar packet. And then it's also going to help prolong the effects of a quality carbohydrate and glucose spike needed for energy in that, warrior arena that is sports. So that is a good reason as to why it's smart for athletes to consider things outside of goo packets and high sugar, high maltodextrin, quick energy, blood spiking things, because perhaps you're doing yourself a disservice later on when you inherently crash your blood glucose below baseline, and then therefore ultimately hindering your capabilities and performance. Even in athletes, I think there's better alternatives, but you have to, look into that. And back to the normal, everyday you or me, or I don't know, maybe you're an athlete. That's awesome. Good for you. Uh, if I don't know what my hemoglobin A1C is at, it's essentially my 90-day snapshot of my blood glucose levels, and that's sugar crusted to red blood cells. Red blood cell has a typical lifespan of 90 to 120 days, and with the hemoglobin A1C on a decent blood panel, you can see, like, are you at risk for prediabetes? Am I 5.7 or above? Well, then you might be one cracker away from diabetes. So having a maltodextrin filled packet every morning adding to that terror is not the most beneficial thing for most people, I would say. Unless you know what your fasting glucose, fasting insulin, hemoglobin A1C, you're not overweight and subject to the potentials of chronic disease and comorbidities, and especially type 2 diabetes, like, then if you knew all that and also did some heavy training, there might be a place for it. But for me, no, still, no. Why? No point to spike my blood glucose at 135 on the GI, glycemic index. So it's important to look at different supplements. And another one I can think of is like omega-3s. Are they a good supplement? Absolutely. Can you get it from food? Absolutely. That's one supplement that I would say that I take and recommend because I feel the benefits of taking a high quality, not oxidized omega-3 fatty acid. There's a litany of things that it does. They've studied it for eye health, they studied it for joint health, they studied it for inflammation, arthrosclerosis, cardiovascular health, a lot of different things. Brain health, as we know, it's a good fatty acid for the brain, for development and cognition. But if you have an omega-3 that's oxidized, you're doing more damage than good by putting an oxidized product into your body. So it matters what kind of tocopherols are in it. That's a carrier. It matters what kind of carrier oil it's in, what kind of ester. It matters what the pill itself looks like. If it's a clear pill, I would say it's not for sure oxidized, but more likely than a pill that's not clear. If it's a dark ruby red or a dark blue, or just a dark shade color, the capsule, the gel capsule itself, less likely to oxidize. So if it doesn't have a complete vitamin E complex, like the alpha, beta, gamma, or whatever, all the things that are in the complete vitamin E, then it's potentially not the best oxidation prevention. So, are they a good supplement? Yes. Does the resource matter? Absolutely. Are you going to are we looking at a supplement that's from a reputable company and a valuable source? We should. And if you have looked at your blood panels or not, or have identified the gaps in your health and understand those gaps and see that these supplements are not hindering it, sure. But for the most part, not everyone's reading ingredients. Not everyone is looking into what kind of magnesium it is. They're just like, oh, it's a magnesium supplement. Oh, this company's telling me it's going to help me sleep. Sweet, I'll pay $90 for it. And magnesium oxide is like 20 cents per gram or something where it's extremely cheap and they can make this thing for pennies on the dollar and sell it for massive gain. And all that to say, like, it's your decision, it's our decision on what we should choose to buy, but it's important to know these things and be aware of what we're truly putting in our bodies and what's truly in our food and supplements and everything else. So educating is important, and understanding that a lot of times the purpose of a business is marketing and not so much consumer health in mind. And if a company that sells supplements puts a bunch of people together and tells you how great this supplement is, but is inherently owned by a marketing company, I'm going to ask questions of what that is. And I'm going to probably put my money, my investment in my health elsewhere. So, some thoughts, and